I'm Myriam Lacroix, and I'm the author of How It Works Out. So, in my early 20s, I was in my first queer relationship and my first capital L love. Um, However, I had never really seen myself as the kind of person who even would be in love or in a relationship. And so, as a kind of imaginative exercise, I started writing these very short little potential outcomes to the relationship that I was in. And initially, they were quite dreamy little microfictions, very rose tinted, where, say, me and my ex would find a bunch of babies in our back alley and have a big family, or we would have so much sex that we would just cannibalize each other. Unfortunately, as formative relationships tend to go, it did not turn out so rosy, and it brought up a lot of very deep anxieties for me that I didn't know that I had, and to the point where for the last few years of the relationship, I wasn't able to write at all. I was in a pretty dark place. And so when the relationship ended, I not only remembered that I wanted to be a writer, but I also had a lot of very big questions about what had actually happened. And so I turned back to the last thing I had written, which was those weird little outcomes, and decided to develop each outcome into a chapter of my book, eventually adding new outcomes to the sort of earlier dreamy ones so that I could make sense of the way the relationship had actually turned out. So my main character is named Myriam, and she's a sort of caricaturized, fictionalized version of me. I started writing this way when I was in my early 20s, and unfortunately, at the time, I did not know about the long tradition of autofiction. I kind of thought I had made it up. I did not. But I think I was compelled to write in this way because I was coming of age in the era of social media. Instagram was really big. I was seeing everyone have these very polished social identities and self-mythologies, and I felt quite overwhelmed at the thought of doing that for myself. And so I started doing it in a kind of like satirical, tongue-in-cheek way, where I would make up these completely absurd, self-aggrandizing things that happened to Myriam, my main character. What ended up surprising me is that instead of just being funny, there was kind of something to it that I hadn't expected, which was the sort of vulnerability of actually looking at myself in my writing. Before that, I had kind of seen myself as an objective author, treating characters objectively, and it hadn't really worked out. And so when I came across this thing that was kind of scary and personal and vulnerable, I think it kind of helped me connect with art in a way that just felt more resonant than what I had been doing. I think first novels are so important and so hard. They take so much work because you're not only teaching yourself how to write a novel, which is a lot of work in and of itself, but you're also teaching yourself how do you write a novel the way that you write a novel, which is not something that anyone can help you figure out. As I'm now writing my second book, I'm not saying that it's easier, but I can feel the foundation that I've built for myself. And I'm so grateful that I put all that work into the first book, because now I have the confidence to take more risks and to just believe that I actually am capable of saying what I want to say in the way that I want to say it. My advice to young writers would be to not focus so much on the publishing industry or if their book is going to be trendy or marketable. Unfortunately, I just don't think that that's something that can be predicted. The publishing industry can be fickle and changeable, but in my experience, there's almost always room for work that is very honest and ambitious. And so I think that if instead of focusing on, writing towards a market, we focus on writing towards a reader, we can create something much more meaningful. If a young writer has their way, one day their first book is going to be out in a store, and someone is going to walk by very much embroiled in the chaos of their own daily life, but they will take some time out of that life and pick up the book and try to have a meaningful experience. It takes obviously a lot of work to be able to offer that meaningful experience, but I think it's so much more important and will produce such better results than focusing on just, a writing trend. So currently I'm reading Beautyland by Mary Ellen Bertino. It's the story of a young alien growing up in Philadelphia. She's born to a human Italian-American mother and can never let anyone know that she's an alien. But she does communicate the facts of her human life with her alien superiors through a fax machine. As you can imagine, the very experience of being secretly an alien in a human world is just about the most human experience that we can read about, and it's just so beautifully written. The second book that I have on my nightstand but I haven't started, but I'm very excited for it, is Queer Little Nightmares. It's a fiction anthology put together by David Lee and Daniel Zamparelli, and it includes some writers that I really love, like Amber Dawn, Kai Cheng Tong, and also a lot of other new exciting voices that I can't wait to discover.